Darling Stadium in Hampton, WHCS Cable Channel 5 presents Peninsula District Soccer. The Kecoughtan Warriors versus the Bethel Bruins. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tim Cole along with Bob Hintz, and we welcome you to a sun-drenched, beautiful afternoon at Darling Stadium for this contest between the Kecoughtan Warriors, who are 7-5 overall, and the Bethel Bruins, who are 3-7-1. And we are just underway with the contest, and we will give you the starting lineups for both of these teams in just a moment or two. First of all, this is the Kecoughtan Warriors team. Matt Marshall is one forward, Chuck Moore another. Midfielders are Chris Stutt, Paul Kertika, and Thomas Warner. Brian Trombley is also a midfielder. Steve Schreiner, Johnny Lenave, and Ted Walter are the backs. The sweeper is Britt Cohen, and Charlie Parr is the goalie. This is Alan Lindsay's Kecoughtan Warriors.
Coach has been over there for 8 years, Tim. Alan has a 102, 18-6 record, and has been the class of the Peninsula for many, many years. But this year he's 7-5 overall, as we have a goal scored. And it looked like a header by, I'll catch his number.
I believe that is number
21.
21, yeah. 21 scored the goal, and that is Chuck Moore.
Well, I believe Chuck is the leading goal scorer for this team. I'm trying to find some information on which we'll get to in just a second. I want to finish this point. Allen is 5-3 in the district, 7-5 overall. Tim, a lot of people didn't expect him to do very well this year because they have zero returning starters from last year's regional Peninsula District representative team. So he's done a great job with some very young talent this year.
And they are on the scoreboard early with a 1-0 lead. Kecoughtan, of course, in the green jerseys with the white shorts and numerals. And Bethel, of course, in the green and gold. Another opportunity and an excellent defensive play at the last second there by the Bruins, as coming over was Danny Weaver to block the shot and quite candidly avoid a second goal.
Really what? Bethel will play more of a defensive alignment. They'll have more people back defensively. Tim, they try to cut out, it looks like we lost our picture up here anyway, but they try to cut off the passing lanes and things of that nature, and are not much, and they try to counterattack. They're not much of an offensive team. Young Will Sullivan, first-year coach at Bethel, played at Kecoughtan for 4 years. And I'll work on that in just a second.
Yeah,
but he's done a real good job with this Bethel team.
Having some difficulty here in the booth with our monitor, but we'll work those things out so we can see the picture, hopefully that you can at home. The officials for this afternoon's game: Roger Malloy is the referee, Antonio Araza is the one linesman, and Matt Dyke is the other linesman. And these officials come from the Peninsula Soccer Officials Association. Bethel with a throw-in just across midfield. That will be number 21, Kamal Fluker, who will get the ball in.
We have 2 Flukers on this team, and I believe they're twins, if I'm not mistaken, Tim.
Kamal and Seneca. There's our picture a little bit better up there at the booth. Hope your picture at home is looking good. It's a beautiful afternoon. The temperature somewhat warm for this time of the year, a temperature in the upper 70s, but not a particularly humid afternoon, and the players should be rather comfortable. No threat of rain, we're happy to tell you, and the wind will be of little significance for either team as well. Very light breezes out of the south this afternoon. This game videotaped on the 11th of May, 1994. From Darling Stadium, the first of a doubleheader here on Channel 5. We will have the other Hampton City schools squaring off in our second contest, Phoebus and Hampton.
Just a little bit of Chuck Moore, the young man for the Warriors who scored that first goal, Tim. He's one of the few seniors. I think Allen starts 2 or 3 seniors on this Kecoughtan team. He is the captain. He has scored 8 goals and had 10 assists coming into today's contest, so we can chalk one more goal up for him.
19 points in a 13-game season so far, so obviously Chuck Moore having a very good year for Kecoughtan.
And of course, Al was talking to Alan about this team, and I said, well, what will happen win or lose in this contest? He said, well, if we lose, we're out of the top 4 teams go to have a playoff and go to the regionals. And he says, you don't want to be number 4 because then you play Lafayette. And I said, was Lafayette tough? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, that's what Kecoughtan used to be. You don't want to play Kecoughtan in years past. And he said, yeah, Lafayette's got a real great team. But if they win today, they will end up in 3rd place, Tim, which is a better place to be because then in the playoffs you play the number 2 seed rather than the number 1 seed. One of the things about the soccer is we have to sometimes wait for a ball to be thrown in, and we have a corner kick.
And this was taken by the goalie. So we'll have a goalie play for the Bethel Bruins. That is Eric Nick. I assume that the K is silent.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Pronounced K-N-I-C, or spelled rather, K-N-I-C-K.
And for those of you who are not familiar with soccer, this is a very intense game in that you have to be in great physical condition because you do a lot of running. And there's not many goals scored, but you have to be moving all the time. And you'll notice that the goalies are dressed different and have no numbers, and that's because they're the only ones that are allowed to use their hands.
Each half is approximately 45 minutes in length. The clock running continuously except for stoppages of play of extra length by the officials for injuries and the like. But the time is kept on the field. There is no scoreboard clock that will tell us how much time remains in the half. But generally, we can get a pretty good idea of how much time is remaining. 45-minute halves, clock is running continually.
We have a substitute for the Warriors. They will do a lot of substituting. I didn't catch who the young man was that came in, but anytime you hear that little air horn, that means they're having a substitute come in. And I see Alan Lindsay over there talking to the young man that just went off, doing a little bit of coaching. He was evidently out of position or something. But if you'll notice, Tim, that the Bruins have a lot of people back defensively. Even when they're on the offense, they will keep a lot of people back. They play more of a defensive style, almost like a zone in basketball, if you will, Tim, where they pack it back in and hope that the other team doesn't have any three-point shooters. That's basically the philosophy of the Bruins. And there's the sound of a substitute coming in.
All right, well, I can pick this one up this time. Eric Grubbs, number 10, is going to come out for the Bruins. And just as soon as the young man who replaced him turns around, I'll tell you who that was that came in. And, I said young man. I think we also have a young lady that plays for the Bethel Bruins. Actually, 3 of them.
No, that's all right. I was just giving you the number of the young man that came in. I picked it up while you were talking. Number 3 for the Bruins.
Bradley Price has come in. Don't give me 3 there unless you're kind of... I said, well, we got 3 girls. you'll be able to hear rather clearly or hopefully at least, we're going to be using a microphone down by the field so that you can hear the players communicating and some of the action that goes on there. So we will talk a little less and let you hear a little more about the actual game as it's being played. This is Kecoughtan on the attack.
Here's the Bruins lineup, Tim. Eric Grubbs and Adrian Fernandez are the two forwards. Brantz, Moorfield, Kamal Fluker, and Seneca Fluker are midfielders. We'll get the rest of the Bruin lineup in just a second. We'll pick it up when we can. A little bit about some of this Kecoughtan group. We have some, here's the rest of them. I'm sorry. The backs are Russ Seipolt, Adrian Wilson, Jeremy Disha, Danny Weaver, and the sweeper is Casey Gwynn, and Eric Nick is the goalie. I'm looking at some of these, the GPAs for this soccer team, Tim. It looks like they're all going to MIT.
And of course, that's something that we like to emphasize whenever we can, because so much emphasis is placed on the athletic ability of athletes, and quite often not enough emphasis is placed on their academic abilities. And as we have noted so much in a lot of the different sports, certainly baseball, one of our coverage games this year, we were talking about, and I think it was the Kecoughtan team that had a team GPA of better than 3.2 or
something.
3.3.
I think it was 3.2 or 3.3. You're right. And Buddy Denham kind of was joking when he told his team members, when you try out for the team, you better have at least a 3.0. I just think that's a terrific statistic, probably the best statistic one could ever announce about a team. When you talk about all the statistics that are kept, the fact that these athletes are also very strong academically speaks very much for them. And by no means am I indicating that soccer and baseball players are superior in intellect. Oh, the shot hit the crossbar. Some close-in action, and a goal is scored. That one was scored by number 15, I believe. I think it was.
Check that, 13 rather.
13,
number 13,
yes.
Brian Trombley.
Well, he's one of the, another one of the seniors has had 5 goals and 5 assists coming in. And Tim, his GPA is 3.75. I mean, I look at these GPAs and knowing how much time they put in on the practice field.
Here's a chance to see the replay of the goal. We'll follow this as quickly as we can. You're going to see the ball headed by a couple of players, and then Trombley had one shot blocked and stuck with it, and the second shot went through, and really no chance for the goalie. To his defense, his defense was not doing a particularly good job of clearing the ball out, and resulted in 2 excellent opportunities for Trombley, and he put the second one by the goalie on the right side for a 2-0 lead now for the Kecoughtan Warriors.
Well, Tim, what also happens, in all fairness to the goalie, with all those people around, sometimes he doesn't get to see who's shooting, where the ball is coming from. Made a great attempt at getting the ball, but was just a great kick by Trombley.
That's when your players sometimes cause as much trouble as the opponents, in that the goalie will be screened at. I know in both in hockey and in soccer, both instances, teams try and cause a blockage of the vision by of the goaltender just for that very purpose.
Right. I'm looking at some of the team stats here. Kecoughtan has attempted 113 shots on the goal coming into today's game and have allowed only 43. so that you can see why they're in third place and has a good record in the district. Have scored 36 goals and have allowed only 20. So they are not also a good offensive team, but a very good defensive team, and have a good sweeper and a good goalie.
Well, a lot of times, and we've talked about the obvious points here, that if you're on offense a lot, you don't give up very many goals because you've got the other team thinking defense.
Right. Well, and that's a good point, and is the way the Bruins are playing. They are playing defensive. They're defensively minded. So they're not thinking offense at first. They're thinking we got to shut down Kecoughtan's offensive prowess. Now, when they try these corner kicks, they try to center it somewhere close to the goal and try to either get one of the offensive players to head it. Well, here they fooled me.
Well, they did change the tactic, and you're right. Of course, most of our viewers, as we've been told before, nice save by the goalie that time. That's Eric Nick coming up with the stop. But as we have been told before by the coaches and the players alike, not to try to get into being too basic about this coverage, because most of our viewers will be familiar with the rules and very much familiar with soccer in general.
Well, they're probably a whole lot more attuned to it than you and I are.
So far, the Bruins' offense has been basically non-existent. There's only been an occasional crossing of the center of the midfield by the Bruins. The Warriors have very much kept the pressure on the Bruins. An opportunity here, a throw-in coming for Seneca Fluker for the Bruins. And now his brother, Kamal, will do the same. We need to give some credit. We were talking about Alan Lindsay and the success of his program. Will Sullivan over at Bethel now, in just his first year with the Bruins, has compiled a 3-7-1 record, and that's not shoddy by any means, especially when you're in your first year of coaching with the team. You're trying to install your system, if you will. And the Bruins, a rather young team, so good job by the Bruins. Will Sullivan in his first endeavor as the coach for the Bruins.
Well, he was recommended for that job by Alan Lindsay because Alan coached him and knows that the young man went to college and is very knowledgeable in it. And it seems that the Bruins have had a hard time hanging on to a coach over there. They have, the turnaround has been rather frequent.
Chuck Moore comes out of the lineup for Kecoughtan, and in his place came Michael Gamble. Michael with a 3.0 GPA, Model UN, youth and government, football, golf, a lot of different activities.
Well, and that's what really surprising. You look at that, Tim, well, that's kind of a GPA, and that means he is playing year-round sports. The kid is constantly into something and yet maintains a great GPA.
Come on, y'all, play the feet. Come on. I got it.
Guesstimating the time, I would say we are about 15 minutes into this first half. With that math being too elementary for me, I'd say we have about 30 minutes left in the first half.
I was going to ask, you must read my mind. I was going to ask you, well, how much does that relieve us? I can't even get one in.
Now, as we mentioned before, the official time is kept on the field by the referee. Another throw-in and a dangerous situation once again, and it's really been as if the field were slanted to the left because all of the opportunities to this point have been generated by the Warriors. And they lead 2-0 here in the first half. You're watching Kecoughtan and Bethel High School Peninsula District Soccer. Kecoughtan Warriors, a 7-5 overall record. They're 5-3 in the district itself. And the Bethel Bruins, 3-7-1 overall. The season winding down, as we've alluded to. Kecoughtan trying to secure with a victory this afternoon third place in the Peninsula District, which would afford them the opportunity to play someone other than Lafayette. Do we know who the fourth place team is? I know the first is Lafayette and then Denby.
Well, Hampton. In fact, I was talking to Alan Lindsay, says Hampton has a great chance of going to the regionals. So I thought they were in second place.
Well, maybe they are. I was under the impression that Denby was, but I don't have the standings here. Maybe we can get that cleared up before our second match, and our second contest will be between Hampton and Phoebus.
I was talking to Alan, and he was very pleased with this team of his, even a very young team and not a whole lot of experience. And he said some of the highlights, they had a 1-0 victory over Denby and a 2-1 victory over Gloucester. And he said those really have helped him this year, that some of those were pivotal games that they won. And as you alluded to, Denby is a good team, so this Kecoughtan team beat it. But if you noticed in the paper, Tim, there was a lot of times like first time beating Kecoughtan in soccer. But Alan has held his team and has done a real good job, even with not much experience on the field.
Well, we see this time after time in all the other sports. Once you generate a winning program, it seems to perpetuate itself, even when the players, and let's face it, if Kecoughtan has traditionally had a winning program, then they're going to draw, if you will, the players to the team that are the better players, and they thereby, not through osmosis, but just through the experience that they bring to the field, even though, as you mentioned, no returning starters, you know that because of the abilities that the previous year's team had, some of these players got some extra playing time that they might not have.
That's a good point. And plus, Tim, there's sort of like the mystique that the people talk about Hampton High School always coming up, and a lot of people don't like to play Hampton in football because of that Hampton mystique. Well, you can say the same thing for the Kecoughtan soccer program, that they have been such a dominant force for so many years. Alan's dad coached before he took over, and they have just built a program over there that is just second to none.
The old reputation preceding them. And now wholesale substitutions for Alan Lindsay's squad. Coming off the field, amongst others, will be number 15. You've got the rest of my lineup here, I believe, Bob.
Yeah, right here. For Alan, so you just have to hunt and pick them.
Alan doing a lot of coaching over there. Matt Clism. We'll see if we can't set the actual lineup for you for both teams as time goes by here. Let's see here. We got contact is what we've got. That'll be a foul against Kecoughtan.
That was number 2.
Brandon Lowther.
He wanted to get that ball, so he kind of give a little nudge to the defender between him and the ball.
Let me find him.
Number 18, Ted Walter. 17, Scott Stouter. Number 7, Chris Stutt is in the lineup. Number 10, David Green. 16, Matt Marshall. That was Britt Cohen who just kicked the ball for the Warriors. Chuck Moore back in the lineup, number 21. And number 11 is Thomas Warner. And the goalie for Kecoughtan, Charlie Parr. And we'll pick up some of the Bruins for you.
Well, Charlie Pars hasn't had a whole lot of action. In fact, this is the longest the ball has even been across the midfield for the Bruins. But Charlie is one of the seniors, Tim, and he's got a 3.1 GPA.
This is really the first opportunity that the Bruins have had to score in this game. And as you mentioned, the first prolonged activity in the Kecoughtan end of the field. Good centering pass, a attempt on goal high over the goalpost, and that'll give the ball to the goalie for Kecoughtan.
And I believe that's their first shot on goal. They got a chance to go in. I mean,
it actually would not be registered as a shot on goal because it did not have a chance to go in.
Okay.
It was a shot, but not a shot on goal. The ball has to have the physical opportunity of going into the net to be considered a shot on goal. Pick up the Bruins rather for you as we can. Got Eric Grubbs, Adrian Fernandez, before Brant Moorfield, Russ Seipold.
I'd like to talk with young Mr. Russ Seipold, Tim. I coached Russell Seipold over at Buckrow Junior High School as a quarterback on my football team. I was wondering if this is any relation to the Russ Seipold I coached.
I bet you there's a good chance that is. Casey Gwynn is in there. Danny Weaver, Jeremy Desha, Seneca Fluker, and his brother Kamal.
And we like to say, Tim, before we forget about it, we don't have the GPA for the Bruins, so we're not trying to slight the Bruins. We just don't have that information.
Centering kick is last touched before it went out of bounds by a Bruin, so it'll be a corner kick again for Kecoughtan. And I apologize, those of you watching the game that are more familiar with soccer than I am. I try to keep up with this sport, but I do not have the expertise I'd like when it comes to soccer, so forgive me if I misuse some of the descriptions of this game. We're used to having a soccer aficionado with us. We've enjoyed in the past having a graduated player from some of the teams sit up with us and comment, but we weren't able to do that. But I understand for our second game, we'll actually have Alan Lindsay.
Alan's going to come up. In the past, we have had Pete Powell, who is the Phoebus coach. He helped us a couple, that's 2 or 3 years ago when Kecoughtan went into the regionals. He helped us with some of the broadcasts. So we're struggling and doing the best we can.
And Alan Lindsay will be making further substitutions here when the official allows it. Apparently the ball had been given to the Bruins to play before the attempt at substitution, so they'll have to wait. Alan Lindsay keeping fresh legs on the field. The Bruins are able to get the ball across midfield.
They do a great job of trapping the ball that time. The Bruins did. That was a good kick by the Warriors, but it was stopped, trapped, and ended going back over into Kecoughtan territory, and that was by number 5 for the Bruins, and that's Seneca Fluker.
They have a foul called against the Warriors.
Come on, wait.
And you hear the comments, relax. And
Hold it, hold it.
you can hear some of it's windier down on the field than it is up here, as you can hear in the microphone on the sideline mic we've got. And we've our picture has got kind of fuzzy on us again up here on the monitor.
About midway through the first half, Kecoughtan and Bethel. Kecoughtan leading 2-0. They've received goals from Chuck Moore and Brian Trombley. Both of them coming early in the first half. Chuck Moore's goal came just as play was underway. The Bruins had really not gotten into the game much before they were finding themselves trailing 1-0.
Have it out.
Stamina is such an important part of the game of soccer. The Bruins will substitute. Coming out for Kecoughtan, excuse me, for Bethel rather, is Eric Grubbs.
Looks like number 6, Tim.
Yeah, that was number 6 who has replaced him as Patrick Nugent, a 10th grader, plays midfield. Pretty young Bruin team. Kecoughtan trying to move the ball up, and they do. Heavy contact and a foul called against Kecoughtan, so it'll be a free kick for Bethel. Getting to watch some of the replay of some of the action previously, back to the live action now.
Man, Tim, you couldn't ask for a prettier day than today. This is not a very few clouds in the sky, and the temperature's got to be in the mid upper 70s, would you say?
Just a beautiful afternoon, and both of these teams undoubtedly enjoying this fine weather. This sport can really wear you out when it's hot and humid, as you can imagine. Corner kick coming up for Kecoughtan. In the corner, that'll be Brian Trombley, who has one of the 2 goals scored so far by Kecoughtan. Right-footed kicker, a header towards the goal. Bruins still having difficulty getting the ball out of harm's way, but now they're able to clear it to midfield. The goalie has to come out quickly to prevent Brian Trombley from having a breakaway. So Eric Nick will get a goalie kick. exercise by the people on the sidelines retrieving the errant soccer ball.
They have to be in pretty good shape.
Shot over the head and in. A goal scored. That was a tough chance. It was one of those floaters going up there, kicked by Chuck Moore, his second goal of the game.
Chuck Moore is the captain, senior. He's got a 3.2 GPA. Tim, listen, this young man is on the Mayor's Youth Council, varsity basketball. He was a captain. He's going to attend East Carolina and study business administration. We've got to see Chuck. You know, he hurt his ankle towards the end of the Kecoughtan regular season. We watched the replay of that kick, and I'm glad to see that was not a permanent injury when he hurt his ankle.
You can see that on the replay, the ball just was kicked so high over the goaltender's head. The only way he could have possibly prevented that goal was to have backed up all the way to the goal line and leaped up in the last second. And it was one of those little floaters that just was not something he could play.
Almost like a Texas leaguer in baseball. I mean, he just couldn't get to it.
And the Warriors now with a 3-0 first half lead. Bethel a little bit too physical on the play, and a free kick coming for Kecoughtan. That'll be Britt Cohen rather.
I tell you, it's amazing how well they control that ball with their head. I mean, just getting your head on it, to me, is a major accomplishment, yet they not only get the head on it, but they direct it almost like kicking it with their feet.
Again, Bethel still looking for some offense here in the first half. Kecoughtan has taken a 3-0 lead on 2 goals by Chuck Moore and 1 by Brian Tromley. Got a Bruin shaken up a little bit on that last play. That was number 19, Russ Seibold.
Tim, looking at the young man, looks like his daddy. I mean, Russell Seibold, to play ball for me, was tall, thin, kind of toe-headed like him, light brown hair.
You remember that far back?
I tell you, what really impressed me about the young man was he stepped into put him at quarterback because he was such an intelligent young man and was able to run my offense as we watched him replay, and just just amazed me at his ability to pick up the quarterback slot, because was not his sport, but he did a great job on the junior high level, and it sure looks like his son or cousin, uncle, nephew, or something.
Scotty fooled you there. He gave us you thought we were getting a replay, but actually we've stayed with the live action, although our picture up here is still almost unviewable, but I hope your picture at home is good as you're watching this game between Kecoughtan and Bethel. Kecoughtan battling for 3rd place in the Peninsula District. They have a 7-5 overall record. The Bruins, with first-year coach Will Sullivan, having a 3-7-1 record. And a shot on goal is played by goalie Charlie Parr. So one of a few shots on goal, that one by Russ Seibold. So he is continuing the game, even though he was shaken up a bit a moment ago.
Well, he grabbed his shoulder. They went up, and him and the Kecoughtan defender both collided, and he looked like he came down on his shoulder, but immediately jumped right back up and was doing some going after the ball. But you can see him in the middle of the field there. He's got a hold of that left arm. Well, he might have bruised it a little.
He's still holding that shoulder, so it's bothering him considerably. But fortunately for the Bruins and him, you don't use your shoulder all that much, although it's
well, I noticed when he runs, he doesn't use that left arm when he's running, so kind of keeps it tucked into the side a little bit.
Now getting a pointer on that shoulder. The Warriors on the attack. It's Chris Stutt doing a good job of controlling the ball. Johnny LeNave back for Britt Cohen. The Warriors push it up the field, and we will have an offside.
19.
And that may be the end of the first half, Tim.
Yep, that is the end of the first half. So both teams will take a break, as we will, from Darling Stadium. Our score at halftime, the Kecoughtan Warriors, with 2 goals by Chuck Moore and 1 by Brian Trombley, leading at halftime by the score of 3-0. We'll return to Darling Stadium with the second half of this soccer match after this brief timeout. Verbal cue, okay?
Just give us a verbal cue.
Okay, we can see our picture now. All right, we are back here at Darling Stadium. The second half is just underway as you are looking at the goaltender for the Bethel Bruins, and they trail 3-0 as we start the second half. Tim Cole and Bob Hintz. This game videotaped on the 11th of May, 1994. And when our director is back online, Bev, if you would have him work on our audio returns, we'll be all set. We've got a good-looking picture here, and now we need audio. That was quick. He got back pretty quickly.
Well, I'll tell you, he may be big, but he moves.
And we have a good-looking picture here, Mr. Director. Our director, Scotty Bowers, this afternoon, and Beverly Penn, also working in the mobile production unit, Channel 5. This is Bethel on the attack, something they have not been able to generate much of here in the first half. And as the second half gets underway, they find themselves trailing by the score of 3-0. Kecoughtan in the green with the white numerals. The ball simply kicked out of bounds as a defensive measure by Casey Gwynn, number 20, the sweeper for the Bethel Bruins. This is the first of a doubleheader. We'll have Hampton and Phoebus in our second contest, and that'll be available here on Channel 5. Now, we will not be showing the games back to back. The Hampton-Phoebus game will air at 5:30 on Friday, the 13th. And, of course, this game aired the first time. If you're watching it for the first time, you won't be able to hear me say this ahead of time. That's the problem with delayed tape. But the next time, if you missed most of this game, or if you wanted to see the game again, it will be on again. Phoebus and Hampton will be on at 6 o'clock on Sunday, the 15th.
Now, this game, I think, the first time it's shown tomorrow, Tim, at 7:30.
Right, and then it airs again
on
Saturday the 14th at 4:30.
So if you know any of the players that want to see the contest, or their parents and didn't get a chance to, and you saw the first one, then let them know when it's going to be aired the second time.
Of course, you can check Channel 5. Shot on goal, a nice save by Eric Nick, as that shot was a blistering shot on goal, and Nick made the big save to keep his team down only 3-0. And now he'll clear the ball out to midfield. You can hear the commentary of the players constantly making each other aware of positioning on the field where the opponents are. Here is the corner kick and the shot on goal a moment ago. You saw an excellent save on the replay. Back to the live action. Kecoughtan on the attack. That was Brian Tromley who kicked the ball out of bounds. He has one of the 3 goals scored by Kecoughtan so far in this game. Second half just underway. Each half approximately 45 minutes of running time. There are some stoppages in the running of the clock, certainly for injuries and occasional substitutions, but for the most part, it's 45 minutes. The referee on the field keeps the official time. If you missed the first half, the Warriors scored early in the first half on a shot from Chuck Moore. Brian Tromley followed with a second goal, and then to round out the first half scoring, Chuck Moore again with his second goal of the game. And how many did you say Bobby has for the season? He had 8 coming in, so that would give him 10 now?
Yes.
Chuck Moore?
Yeah, he had 8 and 10 assists, 8 goals, 10 assists coming in.
We did not get the official scoring on the Tromley goal, so I'm not sure that Chuck Moore had an assist on that play. But he has at least 10 goals and 10 assists in the season. Kecoughtan again on the attack. That was Tromley, number 13, who brought the ball up nicely, and now it's kicked out of bounds by the Warriors, last touched by Kecoughtan.
Last touch
now
by
they say the Bruins
Yeah.
touched it last, so must have gone off of Brant's Moorfield, number 4, who was the Bruin player near there. A throw in, and the goaltender deflects it away. So that will set up a corner kick or a throw in, either one, for Kecoughtan. Going to use the corner kick. And this one goes out of bounds, last touched by Kecoughtan. Those of you that have not previously been to or have seen Darling Stadium, of course, this is the stadium renovated about 3 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago now. Time is flying by so quickly, but truly a state-of-the-art high school facility. It, of course, is a football field during the regular football season. They have track surrounding it, as you can tell.
Well, Tim, they're going to have the district, regional, and state track meet here this year. So this facility is going to get a lot of use.
Excellent facility.
Yes.
A far cry, if you will, from the old Darling Stadium and its waning years. It was pretty bad. The lighting for this stadium for the football season during the regular football games is excellent. And the city of Hampton made a lot of extra efforts to make our coverage a little better by going ahead and being able to pre-wire the whole stadium so our crew doesn't have to start from scratch every time. And actually, I'm told that Channel 5 did it, but we did it with their permission, I guess is what I should have said. Scotty seemed to be perturbed that I...
Well, Scotty did most of that one.
Well, when I said the city of Hampton City School System is synonymous with the city of Hampton. That's what I meant to say. They allowed us there.
Let's get the terminology straight. I don't want you, Scotty, getting mad at you. He'll cut your mic off.
That's for sure. Thomas Warner, number 11 for Kecoughtan on the attack, and now a substitution.
We got 3 new Warriors coming in, Tim, and while they've got some time, I want to talk about some of the different people that's on this team. The starters talked about Britt Cohen. He's a sweeper, just a sophomore. Listen to this GPA, 4.25, and also a member of the Key Club. Steve Schreiner is a back, a senior. GPA at 2.9. He's had 2 assists this year, and he's with the Model UN.
Bruins mounting an attack for one of the few times.
Come on, y'all, walk up.
Chris Stutt, also another one of the starters, midfield junior, has had 4 goals, 4 assists, 3.6 GPA. Model United Nations, a youth in government, and also at Boys State.
I don't know if you're familiar, Bob, with the Model UN program. I happen to be, and you may be as well. But that's a very intense organization, very intense project that they do. My son was involved in that at Ferguson. An excellent opportunity for these young men and women to get to know a little more about the actual goings-on as far as politics are concerned, and the political machinery as it is 2 years in a row.
It's a little different in the United Nations than it is in a democratic as we have here in the United States. But remember Mary Bicca-Veras, who was Teacher of the Year, was a teacher at Bethel High School, and that's what she did, was along with teaching government, was work that program, and that is, as you said, very intense.
Takes a lot of the students' time in preparing for that.
But talk about number 11, Thomas Warner. He's a junior. He's had 5 goals, 9 assists, and has a 3.0 GPA. And I'm going to try to talk about all the Kecoughtan Warriors that I can. I just want to run down and talk about the starters. And of course, Alan does a lot of substituting, so we'll try to pick up everybody.
And again, we want to emphasize that we're not omitting information about the Bethel Bruins. To be quite frank with you, we just didn't get the information that we had hoped to. The more information we have, the more we like to share it with our viewers. But we can only share with them what we get.
That's true. We've talked about Brian Tromley. He's one of the young men that scored one of the goals today. He's had 5 goals and 5 assists coming in. 3.75 GPA, National Honor Society cross country. Johnny Leneve is a defensive junior, 4.08, National Honor Society. 16, Matt Marshall has had 3 goals and 1 assist this year. Ted Walder, number 18, the senior, 2 goals, 8 assists, 3.5 GPA, Model United Nations, another one, youth in government, graduating with honors and is planning to go to Virginia Tech.
Don't use all that stuff up there.
Oh, I got a whole bunch of people I haven't talked about yet. You want to talk a little bit about Kecoughtan's schedule this year and what they've done.
Shot on goal and a score. Let's see if I can pick. Yep, that's who I thought it was. Chuck Moore with the hat trick. So it's been the Chuck Moore show this afternoon as he has scored his 3rd goal of the afternoon. And now the Warriors lead by the score of 4-0. We'll get a chance to see this again on replay. There you see the very tail end of it. The Warriors, who have dominated the play this afternoon, now lead 4-0. This is, in fact, the very last game of the season for Kecoughtan. Regular season, I should hasten to add, because with the victory this afternoon, they will advance to the Peninsula District Tournament, and they will play the 2nd seed team.
I don't want to mispronounce this young man's name. Tim Hunty, Paul.
I believe that's Kecoughtan.
Kecoughtan, yeah, he's just a sophomore. Has had 1 goal, 5 assists, and has a GPA of 336 for this Warrior team.
As you mentioned earlier, among the victories registered by this young Kecoughtan team, and a goal scored from the corner, and the goalie just misplayed the ball, had it, but couldn't hold on to it.
And that's not Chuck Morris.
Well, is that Chuck that scored again? I believe it is. I'm trying to pick up his, yep, it's 21. So Chuck showing that sometimes luck has something to do with these things too.
Well, what he did is went over and saved the ball from going out of bounds, Tim, and then kicked it towards the goal, as we'll watch here. And you can see him, the ball, it starts towards the sideline here. Chuck goes over and stops the ball, and it just really sets the ball up, hoping it would get in, and it did. Sometimes luck really will smile on you.
Well, you know, it goes back to that old adage that everybody talks about, you can't score unless you shoot.
That's right.
And, you know, so if you don't throw it up there, and soccer is very, very well known for the fluky plays, because you center the ball and you just hope something happens, and it can careen off someone, as it did that time, off the goaltender. Getting back to, as you mentioned, a couple of the real important victories for this Kecoughtan team. They did defeat Denby 1-0 back on the 8th of April, and also beat Gloucester 2-1. And then handily defeated Ferguson and Phoebus 9-1 and 2-1. And then they've had their tough times with Lafayette. They lost the last game prior to this one 5-0 at the hands of Lafayette. And I noticed here they only played them once, so I'm sure they were glad that was
once is enough, I'm sure.
Back on the 15th of April, Hampton, a team that we'll see play Phoebus in our second part of this doubleheader. Hampton beat Kecoughtan, and if I recall correctly, from what I read in the paper, that was the first time Hampton had ever beaten a Kecoughtan soccer team.
Well, Joel Moore, the coach over there, has done an excellent job with that program over at Hampton, and Alan says they've got a great chance of going to the regionals this year.
You're watching Kecoughtan and Bethel. We're in the second half of this match between the Warriors and the Bruins. And so far, it's been all Kecoughtan, as they now lead 5-0 on the strength of 4 Chucky Moore goals this afternoon. He has the hat trick plus 1.
Kind of reminds me when Chucky was up at, we watched, did the basketball game at Denby. If you remember, he shot a three-pointer and was fouled, made the three-pointer, stepped up and hit the free throw, and got one of the very few 4-point plays that you'll ever see in basketball, and has, I guess he waits till we have him on tape to do that, right?
Quickly, Brent. Support. Yeah, Thomas, support.
Let's watch and listen to the play. And now the miscue by the Warriors will give the ball to the Bruins on the far side. But let's watch some of the action and listen to some of the player comments as we go along.
Come on, Bradley. Got it, Bradley. Give him an angle. I got him. Shut. Bethel, keep working. I got him. Better.
A breakaway and a goal for the Warriors. That is Thomas Warner. And now we've got a yellow card, which is the official's way of saying someone did or said something they shouldn't have.
Nope. Just this guy right here.
You see the linesman, one of 2 linesmen involved in this contest. The referee this afternoon, Roger Malloy, Antonio Raza, and Matt Dyke.
Matt Dyke is on this side with the yellow flag, and Ariza is on the other side, has the red flag.
Don't play balls like that. He's 18. And shoot centimeters was open in the middle. Come in.
6-0 in favor of Kecoughtan, as they are going to improve their record overall to 8-5 and 6-3 in the district. Bruins trying to mount an attack. They want to avert a shutout if at all possible. Kecoughtan has controlled this game from the very beginning. And again, we see substitutions for Kecoughtan. The fact of the matter is, as we've talked about before, the reason that Alan Lindsay's squad, even no returners coming back, is he has the ability and the opportunity to get a lot of playing time for a lot of different players.
He does that.
There's nothing like game experience. Kecoughtan on the attack.
Let me mention some of these other Kecoughtan players. I don't want to slight anybody, and I'll do the same thing for the Bruins. Brandon Lauer is a senior for the number 2 for the Warriors, a 3.8 GPA, National Honor Society, and he's going to plan to go to Tech. Brandon Lewis is a forward, has had junior 2 goals, 3 assists, 2.6 GPA. Tim Vaness, junior, has had 2 goals this year, 3.33 GPA, model United Nations and Youth and Government Boys State. Michael Gamble, a senior, has a 3.0, model United Nations, Youth and Government, football, golf, and is going to Randolph-Macon. You notice how many of these young men are on the model UN, Tim? Sky Andren, a sophomore, 3.3 GPA. David Green, just a freshman, has a 4.23. Kyle Sport, a freshman, 3.8. He's in jazz band and wind ensemble. Matt Klisman is a freshman with a 3.45. Scott Stouter, sophomore, 3.5, and he's in the Glee Club. Mark Batten, junior, 3.4, Key Club. He's an officer, model UN, Youth and Government, Natural Helpers. James Shaw is a sophomore. And then he's got 3 other goalies. Mike Walk is a sophomore, Ryan Schrader is a sophomore, and Matt Shiflett is a freshman. And these young men have 3.1, 3.0, and 3.6 GPA. So got some good people coming back at Kecoughtan.
And a couple of good shots on goal there. Brandon Lewis with the most recent one. And prior to that, Tim Vassis had an excellent opportunity. It hit the goalpost. Midway through the second half, Kecoughtan on top, 6-0. Chucky Moore with 4 goals this afternoon. Tom Warner and Brian Trombley with the other goals.
Talk a little bit about these Bruin team. We got Patrick Nugent as a 10th grader. Bradley Price is a 10th grader. We've talked about Russell Seipold. He's just 11th grader. Brance Moorfield is 11th grader, is also in the Ecology Club. Adrian Wilson, 10th grader, has Spanish honors. He's on the track in the newspaper. Tamara Gray is just a 9th grader. That's the young lady you was talking about, number 13. Casey Gwynn is one of the captains today. The Carmel Fluker is 11th grader and Seneca Fluker is a 9th grader. So they're brothers, I believe, or cousins. Harry Grubb is a 10th grader.
Twins they're not.
Huh?
Twins they aren't.
Turns they're not. You're right.
Unless Mom had a very long delivery.
And Jason Seipold is a 9th grader. Must be a brother of Russell, I would assume.
Left fullback, get over.
Jeremy Disha is also plays football. He's 11th grader. James Davis just a 10th grader. Adrian Fernandez is one of the seniors. He's also a captain. Eric Nick, the goalie, is just 11th grader. Brian Simon is a 10th grader. Danny Weaver is 11th grader, and Jonathan Hitt is 11th grader. So there's only 2 seniors on this Bruin team, Tim. So he's got a great nucleus coming back next year. He being Will Sullivan.
Put pressure on Seneca. Get on.
Kecoughtan with the throw-in. And they'll just play it back to the goalie. We haven't mentioned the goalie very often. Charlie Parr has been untested, if you will, this afternoon with rare exception. Had a very quiet afternoon as his team has been very much on the attack and in the Bethel zone most of the afternoon. And they are again.
Well, Tim, if you're a goalie, you hope you don't have a lot of action. That means your team is on the offense.
More substitutions, this time for the Bruins. And an excellent effort, in spite of the fact that the score is lopsided. The Bruins have given it their all. They have never slowed down in their attempts. And in the game now is the young lady we referred to earlier, Tamara Gray, number 13. kick coming up for the Bruins. One of the rare times this afternoon that they've had a offensive opportunity against Park. Centering, and it's knocked away. Cleared downfield by the Warriors. They are unable to keep it in bounds.
If it wasn't for the out of bounds, there would be no stoppage of action at all.
Again, I would imagine that the possibility exists that Russell Seibold has injured pretty severely that left shoulder. He is still favoring it very noticeably. Carrying his arm much like you would if it were separated.
Right.
It may have suffered a minor separation.
Either that or at least a bruise. We have a new goalie in for the Warriors. Not sure which one that is. But I did mention all four of them.
You covered yourself pretty nicely there. It could either be Mike Walk, Ryan Schrader, or Matt Shiflett. Fortunately, we don't have any way of determining which one. Warriors almost got another one, and a defender came back, did a good job of preventing another goal being scored. The goalie came out and committed himself. And as soon as I could pick up yeah, I thought it was number 10, Eric Grubbs, who played a little goalie himself there. Getting back, although he didn't play with his hands because he wasn't allowed to, but prevented a shot on goal from going in.
He was at the right place at the right time. You're right, the goalie did get out of position. And I thought for sure that the Warriors were going to end up with another goal, and I'm sure Alan Lindsay is very upset because that is a golden opportunity when the goalie is out of position.
Tell you one thing, anyone who thinks soccer is a non-contact sport hasn't played soccer.
That is terminology. What we just saw is called tackling. You can see why.
Good
Nice
save. Excellent save by Eric Nick, as that shot on goal was destined for the right-hand corner. And he prevented another goal being scored. Corner kick coming up for the Warriors. Playing it in the corner will be Michael Gamble, number 8, centering it. And again, a corner kick coming up, as I believe a Bruin touched it last before it went out. Tim Cole and Bob Hintz, we're coming to you from Darling Stadium. Waning minutes of this contest between Kecoughtan and Bethel. Hope you've enjoyed the soccer coverage this afternoon. Centering pass. Bruins desperately trying to prevent it from going in, and they are able to get it back to the goalie. Good effort defensively for the Bruins. I'll tell you something, they may be trailing 6-0, but they're not giving up by any means. That was Casey Gwynn, the sweeper, who stayed right with the Warrior and would not allow him to get a good shot.
Chill, chill.
There's a trip, and that will give a free ball to the Warriors. David Green taken down on the play. He's just a freshman. He's got that tremendous 4.23 GPA.
Come on, Beckham.
Amazing.
One knee. Head on, head on. I got it.
Come on, come on.
Foul charged against Kecoughtan. And a free kick for the Bruins.
Now, watch the ball. Now, out. Mark up.
That's good play. Both players going for the ball.
And that's what you mean by this. This is not a non-contact sport. Good camera work on that. You had got to see some tremendous action.
Well, this game is being played like it was 1-0 instead of one-sided. And there is another goal. This one scored by number 16, Matt Marshall. So the Warriors led 3-0 at halftime and now have added 4 more here in the second half and lead 7-0. Matt Marshall getting his first goal of the afternoon. Warner has 1. Marshall coming into the game with 3 goals and 1 assist. And now Matt has added to his total with that goal. Get a chance to watch a replay of the goal. Great pass downfield. And Matt Marshall heads up play, picked that left-hand corner, and the goaltender never really had a chance.
Well, if you notice, he kind of leaned towards the left-hand side of the goal, his left, because that was the more open area, and by leaning, he gave away that other corner, left-hand corner for the shooter.
We want to take this opportunity to thank the folks here at Darling Stadium for their assistance this afternoon for our setting up. And we want to thank both coaches, Will Sullivan of Bethel and Alan Lindsay of Kecoughtan, for their help as well for our preparation of this contest. Kecoughtan leading handily 7-0. They have controlled the game from the very beginning. Bruins just never able to get on track offensively.
Mark up. You got in the middle. Don't push up so far.
He's on your back. Brandon. Ball. Yes.
And there is the final whistle to signal the end of the contest. So the Bethel Bruins will run their final record for the season 3-8-1. And the Kecoughtan Warriors improve their record to 8-5. And considering the fact that this team is extremely young and virtually has just 2 seniors on the squad, bodes very well for Alan Lindsay's squad next year. And of course, a great effort on Will Sullivan's part over Bethel, his first year there, and a very young team there as well. So both of these teams will certainly be stronger next season. The Bruins will end their season with this game. Kecoughtan, with the victory this afternoon, secures 3rd place in the Peninsula District, and they'll move on to postseason play. Final score again, the Kecoughtan Warriors 7, the Bethel Bruins no score. For Bob Hintz, this is Tim Cole. We thank you for watching. Good afternoon, everybody.